SmackDown! Get down tonight. Welcome to Friday Nick SmackDown. Hello, I am your host, Nick LaRocco, and I am joined, of course, by my tag team partner for all of the WCW coverage that we will be doing very soon. It's always been my fault that we haven't done it yet, but we will be bringing that to you live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Mac.
I am the Mac in SmackDown, and we had a tremendous episode of SmackDown, in my opinion. That was really action-packed. We had two women's matches on the show that were very good. Yeah. We had a AJ Styles match where, unfortunately, AJ Styles suffered a bit of a maybe kayfabe injury. We don't know. We got some LA Knight. We got some Carmelo Hayes. We got some Nia Jax. We got a little mix of everything, but like we always do, Nick, maybe we should start off with the night's main event, which was fan-fucking-tastic.
Oh, yeah, this was absolutely everything you needed to have for a crazy main event. I mean, a lot of people might see shows like this and think, oh, that was just so much overbooking with, a return and a dumpster match and a ladder match. But, no, this was awesome. And like you said, Mac, this just flew by, and it had, such a tremendous flow. It felt so smooth as it went all the way through. And, yeah, the match starts. It was a triangle ladder match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles.
I love that. You're an ECW fan. A triangle ladder match. I love that.
you noticed.
Yeah.
So we had the Bloodline being able to go in there and defend their tag team titles up against, of course, DIY, and we had the Street Profits. Shout out to B-Fab. Despite all the dangers, she stuck around there, even getting rescued by DIY there at one point.
Oh yeah. This match was great. It started off really slow with everybody kind of feeling each other out. A couple of typical, ladder shots to the head, a couple of the Terry Funk spot, Johnny Gargano running into the ladder face first, even though he saw it up there for a good 3 seconds before he ran into it. But, man, this match had everything that you wanted in a ladder match. It had table spots, it had chair spots, it had ladder spots. Started off with Angelo Dawkins doing a tope suicida over the top rope while the Tongans were taking a ladder into the ring and just killing himself in both of the Tongans, which was
exactly
awesome. Dude,
the ultimate sacrifice.
Angelo Dawkins, I don't know if people know about this, but there was a rumor maybe 2 or 3 years ago during the pandemic that Montez Ford was going to go singles, and they were completely giving up on Angelo Dawkins. And if you remember, they even had Montez Ford in the United States Championship Elimination Chamber. And then Angelo Dawkins just went, you know what? I got to get my shit together. I don't want this team to break up. We're capable of so much more. He went out. He lost a lot of weight. He put on some muscle and just started showing out. And it's really gotten to the point where people are saying, oh, hey, Montez is the star here. But it's kind of got back to even level as of late, because Angelo Dawkins is just taking himself so much more. Not that he wasn't taking himself seriously, but he's really taken the bull by the horns.
No, absolutely. Dawkins is a whole next level talent. And like you said, a few years ago, you always kind of watch the Street Profits as okay, this is going to go on until they decide to break them up and have Montez be the big star, big single star. But Dawkins said, no, I'm not going to have that happen. And he has been showing off what he can do. And it's even to the point where he is that trope of the big guy who shouldn't be able to fly and move as he does. And, we saw that tonight in the ladder match. Because like you said, Mac, the way he just tope suicida'd himself literally into a ladder, taking himself out, but also taking two of your opponents, the defending champions, out. I thought that was a real nice touch. And I like the kind of high risk, high reward aspect of that. I thought that was really nice. And I think a lot of elements in this ladder match also, they were playing the hits. I mean, you had a lot of references to past ladder matches and legendary ones. I think back to Jeff Hardy, the amount of times he would leapfrog over ladders himself, just how many times Montez did that in this match. Or I think about, the Montez doing his dives or Dawkins doing dives. I mean, I think back to Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10, there's a lot of real cool throwback callback moments, even bringing in they got all the tables and stuff. this was definitely playing the hits, referencing so many of the best ladder matches in WWE history. And man, I had a lot of fun with this. And even if we had like a bloodline victory, it was still very fun. And was I the only one that thought when he was climbing up there that he was not going to be able to get back down easily?
I don't know how many memes you've seen, but there were memes online of people, like especially on TikTok and Instagram, of people posting ladder fails from like around the world, like around time and stuff like that.
Right.
Like somebody falling off a ladder, like cleaning out their gutters. Hello, Randy. And a guy getting electrocuted and just falling off the ladder and landing like head first. And people are like, yeah, this is Tangaloa when he reaches the top of the ladder tonight. But
why did I see that potentially happening too? That ladder was so wobbly at the end.
Listen, you will respect the real tribal chief Tangaloa, okay? But like you said, they had so many callback spots from previous ladder matches in the past, but they also put their own little sprinkle on it, which was great. You had a shatter machine off. Like, I think I don't think it was the top. I think it was the second to top rung of the ladder by DIY onto Tama Tonga. You had Tangaloa taking the meat in the middle with the ladder around his neck, a la Terry Funk style. And the two big matches of the night, the two big spots of the night of the match were by Montez Ford. Angelo Dawkins put Tommaso Ciampa up on his shoulders. And just like you said with Jeff Hardy, like he did in that ladder match with The Undertaker, where he did the springboard leg drop and pinned Undertaker clean, which was the first time in 2009 he had been pinned clean. Montez Ford jumped over the ladder. It was a little wonky. It looked like Tez hit the ground way before Ciampa did. But that blockbuster was something else, man. Like, this guy's untapped athleticism, untapped potential, and just a future ahead of Montez Ford. Not to say that we're retconning anything we said about Angelo Dawkins, but Montez Ford showed out in this match. He also, just minutes after that, hit a top rope frog splash through Tangaloa through the table while he was being held by DIY, and just no protection, no nothing, just went for it, balls to the wall. And man, it was that spot was crazy. I looked up, I was actually writing notes for the podcast, and I looked up, and he was just 20 feet in the air.
Yeah. Like, dude, Montez defies gravity. It's so surreal to see him. And, we're talking about ladder match callbacks. The thing that I was thinking of is, you got three amazing teams, and, some of them, might be, I don't want to say younger, because, some of them are like in their 40s, but, it's like three teams that are newer to a lot of the WWE fan base. And it reminded me a lot of, like, Starrcade 2000. You had 3 counts and Courageous Noble and the Young Dragons. Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, some of those Young Dragons matches with 3 counts were like for like a record on a pole or whatever, and the platinum CD on a pole. And it was a stupid concept because stupid Vince Russo was booking it, but the matches that they put on were crazy. If you go back and you watch, and after we do the WCW Spring Stampede podcast, we should go back and like maybe look at the rivalry of the Young Dragons and 3 count, because every time they went in there, no matter what it was, they always gave 100%. And I feel like the same way with the Street Profits and all these guys in the ring tonight. Like, some of the, I looked at Johnny Gargano. I looked at Tommaso Ciampa when he came out and he kind of had boo-boo face, and I was like, oh, okay, well, he's not winning tonight. But to just go in there and just willingly fall 10 feet onto a ladder, whether that ladder is aluminum or it's steel, that's not really the point. But to do that, knowing that you're not going to win just to entertain the fans, really shows how much these guys want it. And I applaud all 6 of these guys, because regardless of what you think of the Guerrillas of Destiny or DIY's push or where the Street Profits are right now, all three of these guys performed at a main event level tonight that was worthy of the SmackDown main event right before the Bad Blood pay-per-view, which is something that Triple H said that he was going to do. He said, we want to go with this 5, maybe 6 card match system on a pay-per-view. So we're going to load up the Raw and SmackDown before the pay-per-view. And on that SmackDown before the pay-per-view, we're going to give you a pay-per-view worthy main event. And this could have easily semi-main evented or maybe middle of the carded Bad Blood 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, like, I think about that spot at like the very end where, you got like 2 of them going through the ladder in this corner and 2 of them going through the ladder on the other corner. And like, even if, no matter how much you gimmick a ladder to break in half or bend in half, you're still, number one, taking that fall. Number two, no matter what, you're landing on something hard and metallic, and that's just going to hurt. You can't fake gravity. And
you have another 250-pound guy landing on top of you, or you're landing on top of him. So, dude, I would rather be the guy. This sounds crazy, but I've seen people get hurt this way. I'd rather be the guy going through the ladder with the person on top of me than falling on top of another person where you could get an elbow in the eye or an elbow in the gut or something like that, Because that's way more dangerous than going through an aluminum ladder. I mean, I know aluminum ladder, there's an element of like, oh, well, something could impale you. But man, I've seen other people fall on top of other people and get more hurt than they would have if they hit the ground. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm thinking back to, like you said, with all the people sharing, real life ladder fails. And, I spent a lot of my time on different, those fun sites like a Live Leak or a Fail blog way back in the day when I was an edgy youngster. And, the amount of times I've seen people fall off ladders or, have ladders tip over on them, you can easily break an arm. You can easily get concussed. People even die from stuff like that. Like, it's wild. And again, I think about how many people are looking at this and like, oh, it's just for like the weekly TV show. I'm like, all 6 of these guys, they put on their game faces. They came out here wanting to basically throw every other match that's going to be happening this weekend just completely out of the window. They want this to be the one everyone talks about. And I think they all succeeded. Even GOD. I mean, a lot of times I know I personally look at a lot of their segments and a lot of their matches as just like, okay, what meme potential can I acquire from this? But I gotta give, the Tongan boys some credit. Like, they did awesome. GOD really, stood out in this match, and I think this is the type of GOD stuff that we've needed to see all along.
Did you see in the match, Tangaloa gave the brain chop to Tommaso Ciampa? He's going, hi-ya!
Classic.
And Ciampa flew like he got shot by a shotgun. I thought it was pretty funny. But overall, Nick, winning. I think a lot of people saw that coming. I didn't feel like there was personally going to be a title switch. Having Tangaloa personally climb the ladder, that WWE is not giving up on him no matter what he does. So, but overall, man, this ladder match really did it for me. It was hard to take notes during it because I just wanted to watch it. More than likely, I'm working a double tomorrow. I probably will at some point during my downtime go back and watch it again while I'm not writing notes. But overall, just to wrap up this main event, Nick, what were your overall thoughts, like your takeaways from this?
Honestly, you know what? I think this is the best way to, end a tremendous show, that was top to bottom solid. I wouldn't say it's necessarily like the greatest ladder match of all time. I'm not sure if it would ever be in the top 5. But for what it was incredible, and it felt like something that belonged on a pay-per-view, and it definitely was the right match to main event tonight. Because I know there was a lot of people online that felt that maybe other matches should have, and maybe some people even said that the dumpster match should have main evented tonight. But I'm glad it was a ladder match.
Yeah, I mean, when you have an element like a ladder and titles and 3-way, it's most likely got to be the main event. But like I said, this could have easily opened up Bad Blood or been the semi-main event of Bad Blood. But I think having Chelsea and Meacham, like we'll talk about later, in the I believe it was the semi-main event, wasn't it? Or was it the semi-main event with that they were in? No, it was the middle of the card.
Match 2.
We had Tiffy after that. Yeah. But circling back to the beginning of the show.
Ooh, Mac, first we should bring up one thing that happened right before then is
Okay.
Jacob Fatu leading down the bloodline with pure intensity.
God. Dude, how are you going to have him cut a promo like that and say that Solo is the leader of the bloodline?
Right?
He looks so weak in comparison. I love my tribal chief Solo. My Tongan brothers love their tribal chief Solo. I'm like, damn, dude, this guy is fucking heat.
Dude, this is the tribal chief. That's the real one right there. Yeah. Oh man, like it was awesome, and that caught my attention. I think I was getting either notes or something set up on the Facebook page, and then all of a sudden, I heard Jacob Fatu walking down, and he has the it factor in spades, bro. Like anytime he's on my screen, anytime he's on TV, I have to just stop whatever I'm doing, and my eyes will go right to him. That guy is a star, and dare I say, he could very well be the star in the future.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it's universally, I think it's pretty universally unanimous that Jacob Fatu has the brightest future in WWE.
Yeah.
But all right, circling back to the front, the beginning of the show, we had Nashville's own, what was his name again? I forget his,
Hardy.
Oh yeah, Hardy. Yeah. Okay. Hardy. I think he was the one that
no relation to Matter Jeff.
Yeah, or Jeff Harvey, like Mike Adamle used to say.
Jeff Harvey.
But Hardy's in the ring, and he's from Nashville, so he gets the crowd hyped up, and then it all went to shit fast. He says, "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back the phenomenal forearm, AJ Styles." To the point when AJ comes out right after his hand thing, Corey Graves has to retcon it by going, well, it's not the phenomenal forearm, it's the phenomenal AJ Styles. But I was like, oh no, please don't let this set the whole tempo for the show. Please don't let this set the whole tempo for the show.
It felt like at a certain point when a Mr. Knight came out, it kind of felt like, oh no, this did set the tempo.
Well, you know what? I kind of felt like, we'll get to that, but AJ gets in the ring and AJ basically says that it feels good to be back, that he's taken some time off and he's reflected on what he's done and he wants to be a changed man and he wants to do the things the right way, and he never considered himself a person that would quit, but here we are. So AJ is talking and he is interrupted by him, Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes comes out and he says, basically, cool retirement speech, bro. Did you sign a Legends contract? And he says, to be serious for a minute, you are my favorite WWE old timer, which AJ took offense to. AJ basically cuts a promo saying that he's seen what Carmelo Hayes has been doing and he thinks he's, primed to be a star, but he doesn't have the right attitude. And then we're cut off by Knight. LA Knight comes out and cuts a promo where it seems like he's really lost. Like, I don't know what it was about this, but he just seemed to kind of ramble on. He did the thing about him going downtown and getting a drink twice in the promo. He kind of screwed up in the middle of it. I forget what he said, but then he had to go back and correct himself. And it just seemed like he wasn't on his game tonight. But man, when that music hit, that Nashville crowd popped like they were seeing the biggest star in the world. Like, it's so, what I took away from this was it was so great to see somebody like LA Knight, Eli Drake, who has been, when he was in TNA, he was the Global Impact World Champion, and he did have a good run, and he had some good runs in NWA, but he's been always kind of like that journeyman, like he's been places, but he's never got like a foothold in that place, and he's always been put in weird storylines. Even when he was the Impact World Champion, he was kind of in a weird storyline. But man, WWE, Vince McMahon did everything that he could to kill the aura of LA Knight when he came up from NXT to make him,
which was so weird to me because he feels like the perfect Vince McMahon guy.
Yeah. And, when he came up and he made him, what was his first name?
Max Dupree.
Max Dupree. Um, when Vince was ousted and Triple H took over, and they quickly retconned that and were like, no. He's always been LA Knight.
Yeah.
You know, and they moved him away from Maxine Dupree, who they weirdly kept the name of, but whatever. But yeah, man, it was a slow burn on SmackDown. You know, and then around like July of like 2023, the crowds really started getting into him. And over this past year, the crowd reaction for him has not dissipated at all, and maybe even strengthened. So it's really nice to see that after being in the business for 20 years, Eli Drake / LA Knight has really found his foothold. And I'm really glad that he has a prominent spot on the roster. And I was looking at that United States title, and I said to myself, he's making that title feel important again.
Yeah.
Like, it feels important on LA Knight. Not that it didn't feel important on Logan Paul, because Logan Paul is a star outside of WWE as well. LA Knight doesn't have that ability, but doesn't have that outside of WWE. So to have the United States title back in WWE, back on TV every week, and on the shoulder of somebody who's really over, to me, it makes it feel more important.
No, absolutely. You know, I'm not to be another WCW guy, but again, I think back to when the amount of time Sting held the United States heavyweight title. You know, he made that feel important. I mean, yeah, you know, it's Sting, but anytime he came out for a match, it didn't matter if it was up against the medic from the state hospital, you know, or it didn't matter if it was up against, you know, any type of jobber, any kind of guy that was, you know, part of a tag team. It didn't matter who it was. The title always felt important because, you know, the guy that was defending it was himself a star, but when he would fight for that title, it felt like, no, you know, for me, this is my championship, and this is what I'm going to fight to the death over. For me, this is that world championship. And I love LA Knight in the sense that I know he always gets that comparison to like, oh, you know, he's the perfect fusion of The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin. But to me, I think it's less of that, but more, while he does have elements of them, he feels like someone that was just poured it over from the Attitude Era. Like, if you take him and slot him in there, I could easily see him, you know, running matches with like a Steve Blackman or Val Venus. You know, you could see him on the Sunday Night Heats and and on the, you know, Raw is War and things like that. And he just felt like such a perfect Attitude Era guy. And I think that's also why I think a lot of the older fans especially really like and respect him, because he's such he's got so many elements of that whole era. And I love that too. He also brought back the United States Open Challenge, because that's always something that I personally appreciate. I wish we had something like that tonight, but it was nice to be able to see him get involved in here, especially with AJ's potential injury, which I saw a video on the Twitter Xverse where AJ Styles was leaving the arena on crutches.
Oh, well, you know, I mean, wrestlers do have a tendency to kayfabe everybody. So, you know, because they did.
Especially the veterans.
Yeah, because a little bit later on, they did show AJ in the trainer's room with like his boot off and everything. And, you know, so who knows? But, but getting into that, we get into the AJ and Carmelo match. And, this match was straight heat for about 6 minutes, maybe. And AJ goes to do a springboard backflip off the second rope, and he lands awkwardly on his.
That was the wrong picture.
He lands awkwardly on his leg, but he keeps going, and then he goes for the Yoshiagori, the neck breaker over the knee from the FU position, and it just looked like his leg completely buckled. And that's when referee Charles Robinson, Little Nate, threw up the X, and the match stopped. Which, when I'm taking notes during the match, I saw AJ do the Yoshiagori, and I was like, wait, the bell rang? And I look up, and I just see that there's a trainer in the ring, and I go, oh, no. But AJ left under his own power. But, right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've been watching wrestling for 33 years. I don't know. And I'm kind of glad I still don't know when I'm being worked, because it just proves that some of the magic is still there. So, you know, I'm sure somebody reputable like Sean Ross Sapp, or maybe, like a bodyslam.net will come out tomorrow and say what's going on. But Right now, I'm glad I don't know. I'm like, oh shit, I don't know. Ooh, this is 1993 WWF
Yeah.
for me again.
No, exactly. And that was the thing too, was if this is truly a worked injury, which I hope it is, because for Styles to just all of a sudden come back, and he looked amazing. He looked jacked. Absolutely jacked Styles, am I right? But
Yeah.
he had a great look, but it would have sucked if this was a true injury. So hopefully it is a work one. But man, the way that they were showing how his leg was buckling, I'm like, that's a real difficult thing to pull off. And who else but an amazing veteran like AJ Styles to do that? And I even put in our group chat that it's been over 8 years, and I still cannot believe AJ Styles is on SmackDown. And on top of that, just one of the major stars for WWE. That's still so wild to me.
Yeah, I mean, he came in 2016. He feuded with Roman Reigns right off the bat. You know, he had that incredible Extreme Rules match. Then they had the match at Payback, and then they had the match at Extreme Rules, which was amazing. Then they had AJ beat Dean Ambrose, John Moxley, for the title at Backlash 2016, and he's always felt like a main eventer ever since. Yeah, he's always felt like a main eventer ever since. I mean, he was just main eventing pay-per-views with Cody, 3 months ago, So, like, AJ Styles is that, like, for the past 8 years since he debuted, has been that perpetual, off and on main eventer. But AJ's that guy that you can throw in there to have a good match to start off the show to get the crowd hot, or the guy that can main event the show. So you can slot him in anywhere, and AJ's going to give you 100% every single time.
Absolutely. And he's another one of those guys too, where, he's working heel, but you respect how he's doing it. But at the same time, if he is working heel, like, you're going to cheer for him because it's AJ Styles and because he's just so freaking good at what he does.
Oh yeah. Like you and I, and I'm sure a lot of people watching are old TNA heads. We think back to the Ultimate X match where he took the springboard drop kick from Chris Sabin and went, completely inside out and landed straight down on the back of his C4, in the ring. We think about when he won his first TNA championship, when he hit the springboard on not the NWA champion, but the TNA championship, when he hit the springboard on Kurt Angle and pinned him to win the title. You go back to all the Ultimate X matches and just all this good stuff with AJ, and and you go, you know what, man? I don't care if you kicked Dean Ambrose in the balls and pinned him and won the title. He won that title fair and square because he's AJ fucking Styles.
Absolutely. I remember there's a big fear too of like, oh no, AJ Styles in the land of the giants. He's never going to be the WWE champion. And then within his first year, he does that.
Yeah. But getting back to SmackDown, so the bell rings, AJ leaves, and then all of a sudden the camera cuts back to the ring, and LA Knight gives Carmelo Hayes a BFT that sent him straight to super hell. Like, Carmelo
neck break city.
Yeah. Like, do you remember the picture of Shawn Michaels that says, "Fuck it, I'm a tree"?
I'm a tree, yeah.
Yeah. And LA Knight grabs the belt, and you can hear him on the camera microphone saying, "Are you going to get a title shot? I don't know. This might be the closest to the title you ever get." Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? You said earlier that LA Knight, kind of at times remind you between a mix of Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. And this absolutely reminded me of I'm not going to say, so don't get mad at me, chat. Don't get mad at me, viewers. I know people hate when I compare LA Knight to Stone Cold because it's not a comparison, but I'm saying the way that the camera cut back to the ring so quick, and we just saw the beginning of the BFT and Carmelo taking it, reminded me when Austin used to come into the matches that he wasn't involved in and just stun the guy just because he wanted to in the Attitude Era.
Oh, dude, I'm thinking like the build up to the 98 Rumble, how he was just after every single person on the roster.
Oh, yeah. There was a match where Jeff Jarrett was the NWA United States champion. He was doing the walk in the ring, and Stone Cold just slid into the ring, a la like Billy Gunn, when Billy Gunn almost slid across the whole ring. It got up and stunned Jeff Jarrett, did the walk like this, and just walked out of the
Fargo shot himself, and it was the way he did it was so like cybernetic. I loved it.
Yeah. But so he hits the BFT on Carmelo. Carmelo sells it like he went to hell. Awesome sell by Carmelo. It was completely safe. I watched it in slow motion. He went down on his hands first, then went down on his head. Perfect sell by Carmelo. Yeah, but right before match, promo package or a vignette started off with the cherries and berries of the top of a cop car, and then went into the headlights turning on of a car and two people walking in front of the headlights. Then we got shots of a city that went by really, really quick, and then a shot of a sports car driving off very quickly that said, coming soon. Now, Nick LaRocco, who is an expert in breaking down videos, took screenshots of the city, and it appears to be Detroit, Michigan, home of Shelley, Saban.
Mac, we're kind of losing your audio.
Oh, hold on. You got me now?
Yeah. There we are.
Okay. So, Detroit, which is the home of the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley, and Chris Sabin. Do we have, as you and I know them, the Murder City Machine Guns on their way to SmackDown? Now, I ask you this because John, our fearless leader and boss, Jonathan, brought this up in the SmackDown DSR group chat. Do you think that the Motor City Machine Guns are now coming to SmackDown because the Lucha Brothers deal fell through?
I absolutely 100% believe that. But again, this was one of the points I brought up with you in that group chat was they should just be on the main roster anyways, because look at how many teams. I mean, look at that ladder match that we just had in the main event that we talked about.
Yeah.
So much of modern tag team wrestling is built on the work of the guys like 20 years before. Like, you find elements of course, the Briscoes, but you'll also find elements for, Motor City Machine Guns. And I think that it was such a travesty to me. Not that there's anything wrong with the NXT brand, but the fact that you've got two literal tag team legends who have influenced so many of your favorite tag teams that are on the main roster, and they're going into what they don't classify it as this, but it's basically the developmental system. It's like, that doesn't feel right to me. So I'm glad that this feels like that step in that right direction. If this is them, well, now confirm or deny.
Now, do you think? So when the Motor City Machine Guns were in TNA, they had legendary tag team runs. They had the Best of 5 series with America's Most Wanted. They had their matches with Beer Money and all the great tag teams in TNA. Then they kind of split off, and you thought that it was going to be Alex Shelley that was going to be the star of the group. But then they went and put the TNA World Championship in 2013 on Chris Sabin.
Right.
And although it wasn't a long run, I think it was like 2 months before Bully Ray won the title back. It really showed signs that they could be single stars.
Right.
Then you had Alex Shelley, who just last year became the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Champion, defeating Steve Macklin. And you had a lot of people saying, hey, he's going to be a transitional champion. They're going to put this thing right back on Josh Alexander when he comes back from his injury. And then they just didn't. He held the title from June until January, when the title was taken off of him by Moose. So you have two guys now in your system that are obviously going to be a tag team, but when the time comes, these guys can be tremendous single star. You have so much upside for the Motor City Machine Guns. Now, the only reason why I think they might have been rumored to go to NXT was to help also be trainers and coaches, because Alex Shelley is a personal trainer, and I follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
He says people can DM him and ask him questions about nutrition, and he'll send them stuff, And Chris Sabin's been around the game since the early Ring of Honor days, 2005, 2006. The same thing with Alex Shelley. Alex Shelley and Jimmy Jacobs, for I think a year in Ring of Honor in 2006, would jerk the curtain for every show for their dark match. So you had the guys that have been all over the world here, and I think this was just an excellent pickup by WWE, and I really hope that they use them to their full potential, because anything less than the Motor City Machine Guns that we know now is going to be a disappointment. But I can kind of see a little bit of it because they need to be WWEized, and I don't say that negatively. I just say it like, you know,
it's a different beast.
Yeah, they'll be in a bubble, but they perform in that bubble, I think, is going to be amazing.
I think one of the things too that's so wild with MCMG is the fact that those guys, they stand the test of time.
Yeah.
Like if you watch a match, I mean, you know, they're much younger and it's a different time period 20 years ago. Yeah. Like it'll still hold up. And if you watch them wrestling within the last couple of years, like it feels the exact same. Like it feels like these guys are just defying the laws of everything we know about professional wrestling. And on top of that, like again, like who would have thought when they first started at TNA that both of those guys were going to become the TNA World Heavyweight Champion?
Oh, when Alex Shelley was in Paparazzi Productions and carrying that camera, there was no fucking way, bro.
Right, but like that's like it's still so wild to me, and this is going back to like, you know, the same thing we were talking about with, you know, how for me it's still so crazy to think about AJ Styles is in WWE and now being able to say like, wow, Motor City Machine Guns are here. Like I remember I was a real
on the same show.
Yeah, exactly. Like this is gonna be crazy, dude. I love it. And you know, I'm one of those people who, you know, way back when was thinking about like, you know, like the 2000s and you know, the teens, how, you know, Ring of Honor and TNA, always those dream cards that no one ever thought possible of, you know, them having like collaborative shows with WWE. And I would always make sure that like, okay, in my fantasy roster, I got to have Styles, got to have MCMG on there. And now for that to be coming true, it's so surreal. And yeah, I'm excited for this, if this is them. But one of the things that I've seen a lot of eagle-eyed people on the Twitterverse mentioning, and I kind of noticed this too, the font. The font and the way this was done is very similar to the SummerSlam 2023 logo and design work, which, remember, that SummerSlam took place in Detroit.
Yeah, the breadcrumbs lead us all to Detroit. So
all signs point to Detroit.
And another thing too is
D12.
SmackDown. Let me ask you a question. If there was one person on SmackDown tonight that you could see was absolutely influenced by Alex Shelley, let's see if we're on the same page. Who do you think it would be?
Man, like right off the bat, whenever I'm thinking and I look directly into the camera and I say like Street Profits, 100%.
Yeah. I also, well, my first pick would have been Johnny Gargano.
Of course.
He wrestles exactly like Alex Shelley used to wrestle in 2006, 2007 Ring of Honor TNA. But the Street Profits also took a lot of their tag team moves from, did not steal them, just recognized them and made them theirs.
Yeah. I didn't want to say Gargano or Ciampa since they are kind of in that same bubble, that kind of grouping. But absolutely, 100%. Yeah, that's good. There's a lot of like dream match potential when you start looking at the SmackDown roster and, you know, who you've got on there. Like DIY, MCMG, you know, Street Profits and MCMG. Like there's a lot of good stuff you could potentially have on there. Shoot, even like Ashante the Adonis and Cedric Alexander, they've been teaming up in dark matches and doing stuff in NXT. Like even throwing them in there, there's so much potential, just awesomeness that can happen.
They had Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews beat Legado del Fantasma before the show started as well. In a dark match. Yeah.
Humberto and Garza would also be a fun team to throw against them.
Oh, absolutely. Another thing too is now that you have basically 2013 TNA on your roster. You have AJ Styles, you have Chris Sabin, you got Alex Shelley and Nick Aldis and Mia Yim.
Oh, you're right. Also, don't forget we got a little WCW flair in this opening match. You had Air Styles and Lil Nate.
Oh, man. Oh, God, Little Nate. They both wore the robes. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Remember when TNA tried to make AJ Styles Little Nature Boy and had all the girls around him, and you could tell AJ Styles was really uncomfortable because he married his high school sweetheart in like 2001.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, AJ Styles was so uncomfortable with anything that they tried doing within that regard.
Oh God. They tried to have him drinking champagne and girls like rubbing on his chest, and he was just like, "Nah, dog, I love my wife."
I remember like AJ Styles and that one scene. I think it was with Maria, where like she's trying to distract him, but he just like ungloves and is like, "I'm married."
Oh yeah, and then they triple super kick her. All right, getting back to SmackDown. So we had the and I say this with no hyperbole, the highly anticipated Doomster match.
Doomsters
between Michin and Chelsea Green. This match was fun with a capital F. I loved this match. You had weapons. You had Chelsea Green just being her usual cocky self, and she looked fantastic. Mia looked fantastic. Michin looked fantastic. Like, this thing was designed to make Chelsea Green look like an asshole, which she does flawlessly. She's always getting like shots in, but then at the end she always gets her comeuppance, and she always looks like, like, oh fuck, and you're like, yes, you bitch, you got it, and right. she's the best at that.
What was really fun with this match was not just, I mean, like you said, this was a fun match, but who's really having fun with it? Michael Cole. Because,
my God,
this was something he was number one, absolutely looking forward to. But number two, I mean, look at the last match, the amount of like NWA, TNA references that he was throwing out there. This one in particular, I think he loved just being able to reference Foley and Funk versus the Outlaws.
He had fun mentioning that Mia Yim and Chelsea are former Impact Wrestling tag team champions. But man, the big spot in this match for me where I went, holy shit, is when Michin hit the eat defeat and then put Chelsea inside the trash can and then hit the senton splash in the dead center of the trash can and just killed Chelsea.
Man, speaking of ladies killing each other, I think about table, cross the dumpster.
Oh my God,
and
dude.
Boom, right in there. That was picture perfect.
So he hit that and they both went through. I thought that maybe the dumpster was like, I knew there was no way, but maybe Piper was going to get up and close it on both of them, and it was going to be a no contest and do some bullshit finish.
Right.
But whatever was in one of those bags Chelsea took out and rubbed all over herself while she was in that dumpster, like, she did a tremendous job because she poked her head out of that thing and she was covered in what looked like SpaghettiOs and dog shit. It was awesome.
Oh, they probably just absolutely did the old Phineas Godwin and put whatever they could find in there.
Yeah.
It's red time, baby.
I'm sure there was something under one, because they showed an overhead shot of the bags and it didn't look like there was anything particularly in there, but maybe there was something in the bag, like a bucket or something that she just dumped all over herself. But man, she looked fantastic in that
commit to the bit.
Who you are, power bomb through into a dumpster, even if you're on the lightest feathers in the world going through a table, that spot's gotta hurt. And kudos to both of those women. She hit that sit down power bomb like her fucking life depended on it, and I applaud them both for just taking it. It was awesome.
Absolutely. That was we talked about the ladder match being the capstone for the night, but with this being kind of our transition from hour one going into hour two, this is a great way to go from point A to point B. And oh man, that was great. I'm glad, like you said too, that was the match that was fun, FUN, and I'd say all caps. Yeah.
Well, during the match, Piper Niven dressed as the old roadblock gimmick from WCW comes out and tries to interfere. She gets a couple of licks on Michin, throws her into the dumpster, throws her into the ring post, but then she goes for her senton splash and absolutely eats shit. she's taken out of the match. Like we said, Michin hits eight defeat, puts Chelsea in the trash can, hits a senton, rolls her out, puts the table over the dumpster, and hits the Upanauri water slide type power bomb into the dumpster. She gets out relatively unscathed and closes the bin. Dude, I was looking at that and I was like, oh shit, that table's going to prevent that dumpster from being closed, but she just gave it a good shove.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, good on her. Good
out with awareness. The rest of that trash.
Yeah, and she closed it and she got the win.
Yeah,
this feels like to me that it was a feud ender.
It did, yeah.
But we did have a backstage segment where it is Piper Niven and Chelsea covered in the dog shit, and she walks up to Nick Aldis and he says,
"He's funny with it."
Oh, dude, he said, "He goes, oh, you look like absolute trash." Oh man, he goes, "I thought that match was going to stink." He goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm recycling all these jokes," but he says, "You look like you have something to say," and it looks like Chelsea has something to say, but she just goes and walks away. So maybe we get another match out of this. I don't think so, but this feud, for what it was worth, a 5-week feud, was fantastic. And I think it really gave the women's division a shot in the arm that it needed, and Michin a shot in the arm, because she was absolutely nowhere before the feud with Nia that spun off into this.
Yeah, and going back to that segment you were talking about, one of the things I really liked about it too was the fact you threw in Pretty Deadly, you threw in 8 Down Under, and then you threw in Garza and Humberto. Just the fact that we have so many of the wrestlers who weren't able to be fit on the card somewhere in this. I'm glad we're still kind of featuring them, because that's one of the few things I did really appreciate about that old Vince Russo philosophy is we'll try to find a spot for everyone that we can on the card here, and I like that little touch, a little subtlety.
So right after Chelsea walks away, Carmelo Hayes walks up to Nick Aldis and he goes, "Hey, you see what I did out there? I got the win. So yeah, make that title match." And Nick Aldis goes, "You really think that's a win?" He goes, "Dog, a win is a win in my book. LA Knight needs to keep his word." And Nick Aldis says, "Well, check on AJ, talk to him, and I'll have an answer about your title match next week." So they kind of kept us in limbo there. Technically, Carmelo did win the match. It was by a referee stoppage, but a referee stoppage is still a win,
right?
So
TKO.
Yeah, so it looks like that. And if AJ really isn't injured, and he's thrown into this whole Carmelo Andrade LA Knight situation, like that's just chef kiss. Like if you want to throw
loaded,
like if you have LA Knight, you have Andrade, and you have Carmelo Hayes, which is just already a recipe for the most delicious meal ever. And then you bring out the dessert with AJ Styles, like, oh my God, I can't think of a better person to bring into this feud.
No, absolutely, dude. That is, I think that's going to be on so many people's like dream matches and dream cards, and that's going to be its own match of the night. Please make that a main event in the Slovakian era.
Yeah, because you got a little taste of Carmelo and AJ Styles tonight. Whether it was kayfabe or not, AJ did get hurt, and but they just gave you a taste. Just like when you walk over and you take a spoonful of sauce right before dinner, you go, "Oh, marron, yes." Yep. So there obviously are a lot of matches because after Andrade came back after AJ left, right?
Yes.
So you have AJ versus Andrade, a face versus face, AJ and LA Knight for the United States title, triple threats, fatal 4-ways, ladder matches. Whatever, dude. If AJ is actually inserted into this feud, I'm gonna eat it up like ice cream, man.
Oh yeah, because like not only I'm sure everyone's looking at this like the triple threat that it could easily be, but also just the singles matches between them. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Especially too, because you could tell with that they were holding back something from that opening match with Styles and Mello, because both those guys can cook. I mean, not to bring back all the food references, but both those guys can absolutely cook. And they were going to be cooking up something very special. And you can tell they didn't just throw out, their best recipe just yet. They're going to be saving that for the future.
Yeah. those kicks that AJ does to the shin, then the one to the stomach, and then the turnaround spinning back fist, like that shit's coming. Nothing but net is coming. Yeah. Some transition into the Styles clash is coming. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Which you could tell too that I think everyone sees that Styles gained a lot of muscle mass because he's not going to be flying around as much anymore as he used to, but he still has a lot left in that tank, especially for Air Styles.
This way, that muscle that he put on when he did that backflip off the second rope, maybe that could have hampered him a little bit,
Well, that's true.
Yeah,
but whole weight distribution's all going to be thrown off because you're a little bit heavier.
And AJ knows that he can do this stuff, but his body is a little bit bigger now, so maybe he shouldn't. Maybe don't do that. Maybe don't do that springboard into the Stinger jet drop.
Right.
Yeah, but that was the segment with Aldis and Carmelo Hayes. I guess we'll find out next week if he is getting a title shot at LA Knight.
Yeah.
So the next segment we had was Bayley was backstage saying that she was going to just call Nia Jax out, and that's exactly what she did.
Yeah.
She calls out Nia Jax and says that, "Hey, get out here! I don't got a lot of time." Nia eventually comes out after like a minute and a half, and Bayley cuts a pretty good promo here, saying that title before, but she doesn't understand the significance of that title, how important it is in the lineage of the WWE, and she names off Hall of Famers. First off the bat, Bayley, my girl, Molly Holly, love yes. Molly Holly.
I'm glad Holly, that was the first reference to.
So glad. I fucking love Molly Holly so much. Molly Holly, Trish Stratus, Lita. Who else did she say?
Victoria.
Victoria.
That also popped me, and don't forget Beth Phoenix even.
Yep, all good, all great women's champions, just Hall of Fame level women there.
Absolutely.
She says, but they had one, but you have one thing that they didn't have during their reign, and that's absolute dominance, which is a great line. As you are, tomorrow bad blood. She then turned her attention to Tiffany Stratton and said that if Nia doesn't, Tiffy time. What's more annoying than that? I do like it's Tiffy time, but it kind of annoys me sometimes. I don't know if I hate that more than your boy Bouncy. But yeah, turns her attention to Tiffany Stratton and says, if Nia does happen to get the win over her tomorrow, it'd be because Tiffany's always interfering and getting up in Nia's business. She said, if Nia does win, she's going to lose because Tiffany's just going to take that briefcase, smash it into her head, and cash in the women's championship because she can't be trusted.
Seeds of doubt keep getting planted.
Tiffany cuts a promo and gets very flustered and calls Bayley Pam.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, yes, a Pam reference. Let's go. Yeah. I love when they call each other real name. I always think back to whenever they'd call Batista Dave, listen.
They would say when Triple H was having that promo with CM Punk in 2011 or 2012, and CM Punk said, "This isn't CM Punk talking to Triple H. This is Phil Brooks talking to Paul Levesque."
I was like, oh, they went there. This is getting real.
Tiffany said, okay, Pam or Bayley, whatever your name is. I was like, okay, good save. Tiffany cuts a promo, gets flustered, calls her Pam. Bayley cuts her off and calls her a stupid bitch.
And she really meant that too, the way she said that.
Yeah. So Tiffany tries to attack her. Bayley fights off Tiffany. Nia tries to attack her, but she takes out Tiffany, then Nia with the briefcase, and Bayley holds up the title and leaves. And the woman who just got the shit kicked out of her by Bayley now has to have a match with Naomi.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that. I'm like, oh, okay, just instantly going forwards. Because I for some reason I forgot, or I didn't know that this match was happening, and I'm just like, okay, Naomi, who is she taking on? Oh, yes, Tiffy.
Yeah. About the backstage with Carmelo and Aldis, but I wanted to kind of keep that in the, I wanted to put that with the Carmelo thing and AJ. So backstage, Nia and Tiffany are talking. Nia says that Tiffany has been teasing her over the past couple of weeks and making it look like she's going to cash in her briefcase, and she doesn't like it. She tells Stratton she better pay close attention to Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley's WWE World Women's title match tomorrow night, because that's the only championship she has a shot at winning without being destroyed if she tries to cash in. Nia says to Tiffany, do you plan on cashing in on me? Because if you do right now, I want to know. And Tiffany says, no, Queen, I would never even think about it. And Nia gives her a look and walks away. And Tiffany's got that, like, I'm going to cash this briefcase in on you, you bitch.
Yeah, she's completely sus.
Yeah. That was the final thing before we got to the main event, which we've already talked about. If you haven't heard it, once we're off the... Oh, sorry. We'll go Naomi and Tiffany. Sorry.
Naomi, Tiffany.
My bad.
I thought you were just referencing, I was like, the final segment.
I had it all together here.
Yeah.
A picture of Nia and Tiffy. So, but Naomi and Tiffany have a great match here, man. Like, it was really good.
Yeah, it was a solid showcase for both women.
Naomi hit that split leg while Tiffany was draped over the outside of the hardest part of the ring. She hit that split. It looked like she killed Tiffany. Like when Undertaker used to hit the used to hit that leg drop on his opponents, dude.
Right.
Oh, it looked like she absolutely killed her. But the finish of the finish of the match came when it looked like Naomi was going to hit the tiger suplex on on Tiffy, but Tiffy turns it into a pin combination, gets a 2.9 before Naomi wraps up her arms and flips her over into the crucifix and gets the win with a very slow count by the referee, who was out of position, by the way.
Of course.
But yeah, was holding her midsection, which Bayley had smashed the Money in the Bank briefcase into. So I call this a tainted victory by Naomi. She had her after she got the shit kicked out of her by Bayley.
Exactly. Just, picking up the pieces, Naomi. I think that's going to be a plot point they will absolutely bring up, and there's going to be a rematch, and I guarantee in that rematch, Tiffy will get a win back. Yeah, they had before Bayley came out for her match, though, they had her backstage with Jade and Naomi and Bianca, and they kind of planted the seeds that maybe Naomi's still a little bit pissed off that she lost last week. I mean, I don't want Nia to lose the title. I do want to see Tiffy cash in, but if they were going to do this, I would love to see maybe Bayley get screwed over by Naomi and then have their own feud that doesn't involve the title, because I don't think you need the title in the Bayley and Naomi feud. I think Naomi has title aspirations, but I could honestly see Naomi wanting to eliminate Bayley, because Naomi's only pinned Bayley once in her career, and they've fought like 6 or 7 times. So if she gets Bayley out of the way, she has a straight path to the title without Pam being in her way. Right. Plus, I think too that itself is a story point that you don't need that championship. These are two of the top women on the roster, period, no matter what show it is. And on top of that, Pam and Naomi are, solid wrestlers themselves, and they got that built-in story from, all of their matches over the course of their, time on the roster together. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And I also think that, a heel Naomi that we really haven't seen since the Funkadactyl days.
Right.
I think a heel Naomi with the, we've seen Naomi not take shortcuts in matches because she's a babyface, where she could have obviously won the match and, whatever. But I think a heel Naomi without a conscience and not caring how she gets the win would be a sight to see, because, like I said, we've only seen the babyface Naomi.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah. So now, we already talked about the main event of the Bloodline, the Guerrillas of Destiny defeating DIY and Street Profits to retain the titles. You said before we went on the air, Nick, you felt like this was one of the SmackDowns that flowed the smoothest for you.
Yeah, you know what? As watching this SmackDown, from beginning to end, this definitely felt solid to watch, and I really like their philosophy for how they want to start booking the go home shows. And I really would love for them to keep doing stuff like this, because if all the episodes, even just all the episodes right before pay-per-views, like if they are all like this, oh my gosh, it's going to be so good. Like we're going to be eating good, boys.
Yeah, like they had the what was the last pay-per-view that we had before this? Was it SummerSlam?
What was the last pay-per-view? Chat, what was the last pay-per-view?
Okay, so SummerSlam was the last pay-per-view. No, wait, was it? It was what was the one with
something else?
What was the one with Punk and Drew in the Four Corners match?
We had no, before this we had Bash in Berlin.
Oh, Bash in Berlin, right. We had Bash in Berlin. Right before the Bash in Berlin, we had the Michin and Nia Jax hardcore match for the women's title. So they're continuing the tradition of doing big matches on SmackDown in the main event right before the pay-per-view. So, yeah, like you said, I really hope that continues. That was a fantastic match where she gave her the Annihilator in the trash can, and now we have this. They gave us a 25-minute ladder match, which was fantastic.
Absolutely. Which just the ladder match alone, definitely, it felt like something that, if it wasn't, Hell in a Cell, this could have absolutely been the opener for that pay-per-view.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see, Logan James puts in, I want Tiffany to cash in on Liv because I'm tired of Liv and the Rhea feud, and give a chance for others on the Raw women's division. And I thought that Motor City Machine Guns were going to go to NXT, but now it looks like they're going to SmackDown.
Well, yeah, we've already talked about that, Logan. I think when Tony added the year to Pentagon's contract, or to Phoenix's contract, and Pentagon is still under an AEW deal,
and with how Pentagon works when he can't team with his brother.
Yeah, I think when Brothers deal fell through, they were originally supposed to be going to SmackDown, and it looked like we were going to get a player coach deal with the Motor City Machine Guns at NXT. But now that the Lucha Brothers deal has fallen through, they need a team on SmackDown, so they're going to send the Motor City Machine Guns there instead. And who knows, maybe they'll next year when Ray Phoenix and Pentagon's contract expires and they go to WWE, which is probably 100% at this point, they'll go to NXT first to compensate for the Guns going to SmackDown.
Which itself, talking about like player coach, like Phoenix and Penta, I think would excel, in that role. I think that's something they would honestly love to do.
I mean, they've had experience in so many other organizations, TNA, MLW, Lucha Underground especially,
World traveled wrestlers that have excelled in singles matches, but also tag teams. Like, it's literally the same exact thing as Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah. But do you want to get into the rest of the stuff here, Nick?
All right. Well, with that, we can always go right into our, of course, different segments that we like to do at the end of these shows. So we'll start off with the match of the night, powered by monk.com. When you want a personal aromatherapy diffusers, hey, some of them have CBD if you want, but you don't have to get that. They have a lot of natural flavors, but if you would like your personal aromatherapy diffuser, go to monq.com. That is monk.com. Use promo code DSR10 and get something that is going to smell a lot better than Chelsea Green did tonight.
Yeah, so for me, it's the ladder match, 1,000%. If the ladder match wasn't on the show, I probably would have went with the dumpster match because I thought that match was absolutely fantastic. But the ladder match just blew every other thing out of the water.
No, I agree 100%. Like you said, if the ladder match was, on the pay-per-view, which I think it still should have been, the dumpster match absolutely was wild, but it was fun and it was crazy and it impacted like several segments throughout the show, and I like stuff like that. But yeah, that ladder match, all 6 guys in there just killed it. They did an amazing job, and this was honestly just such a good showcase across the board for all of those guys, and I'm so happy that I feel like all 6 guys, win, lose, or draw, came out looking amazing following that.
Absolutely.
But speaking of our winners and losers, we'll be looking at the jobber of the night. Hey, guess what? We even have a little graphic for that. It's Gilbert. Jobber of the Night presented by comicbookclick.com. When you want your pro wrestling news, your comic book news, your pop culture news, hey, the website's right there. Go visit comicbookclick.com today. Jobber of the Night. Let's see. You know what? I didn't think I'd get this far. I'm going to have to say, when it comes to a Jobber of the Night, I'm going to be going with Tiffy time. She just got absolutely obliterated in her fight with Bailey. She got obliterated by Bailey on the microphone by pure, unadulterated, ruthless aggression type of anger. And then she lost her match to Naomi. And I think Tiffy just didn't come out of this show in particular looking the best. She got completely destroyed verbally and, cast down by the Queen Nia Jax. So yeah, I'm gonna have to give this to Tiffy.
Yeah, so I'm going to go completely out of the box for this one, and I hope I never have to do this ever again. So I just want to preface this by saying Alan Jones of Gainesville, Georgia, I love you. You have brought me more joy watching wrestling matches other than a guy that you might not know named Bryan Danielson. He's a nobody. But
Who?
Love. Top 5 all-time wrestlers for me, and he's not number 5. But AJ Styles getting that big video package last week, coming out in his gear tonight, I'm like, fuck, he's going to wrestle. And then, like I said, only wrestling 7 minutes or 5 minutes, and then getting hurt. It's not his fault he got hurt. Age catches up to everybody. But just from the build-up last week and then coming out in his gear and then being announced as the wrong name by fucking whatever, the third Hardy brother, I hate to do it, but AJ Styles, my jobber of the night, because I was so much looking forward to that match when Carmelo came out, and man, I wanted so much more, and they just didn't give it to me. And if it turns out that this was kayfabe, I'm going to be so much more pissed because I wanted that match.
Poor phenomenal forearm. We'll throw a shout out jobber of the night also to Hardy for calling AJ Styles a phenomenal forearm, and I hope that becomes the new meme and that stands the test of time and everyone starts calling him the phenomenal forearm.
It's just AJ with his head, but it's a forearm.
I saw some people starting to make memes like that too. It is great, and like all of his like big moments, but it's just a forearm.
When I was younger, I had an E-Fed, and my guy looked just like AJ Styles. So, but I was doing like alliteration names, so it was like, what was his name? It was like the Brain Buster Brian Bradley or something like that, right? And my gimmick was that my name was the Brain Buster Brian Bradley, but he never did the Brain Buster.
Oh man. Leave him wanting more.
He would do the clothesline, and then he would do like the D-Lo like head shake leg drop, and then he would do a frog splash and win. And they'd be like, "Here's your winner, the Brain Buster, Brian Bradley."
Here's why he's called the Brain Buster. It's not that he does the Brain Buster; it's because he keeps doing D-Lo's head thing.
Yeah, he does it so much he shits his pants.
Going from the E-Fed to the Fed, we're going to be looking at our mega star of the night, and we got a graphic for that one too. Hey, there it is.
Yeah.
Mega star of the night, powered by NordVPN. When you want to be protected by any kind of trash, any kind of garbage that might be thrown onto you, if you don't want your computer to be thrown into the dumpster like Chelsea Green was tonight, you will go to comicbookclick.com. We just mentioned that earlier, and you will scroll to the very bottom of the page, and you can get NordPass, and you can get a whole year's worth of NordVPN for a discount. Guess what? That discount, 72% off, plus a few extra bonus months. Don't say we didn't do anything for you.
Go first. You go first, Nick. I got mine.
Megastar of the night. Honestly, it's it was tough because I really wanted to say all 6 guys from the ladder match, but there's 2 in particular that stood out to me, and that was Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. Like, those 2 guys were willing to literally kill themselves to make a statement. Like, they wanted to show that they are amongst the best of the best, not just on the current roster, but of all time. And they want to prove themselves both individually, but also as a team. And I really respect the work that they did in this match. And Montez moves like a million miles an hour. He's landing before anyone else does. And whether or not that's always smart, we've also got Dawkins, throwing himself, no care in the world, into ladders to take out, the GOD. So I gotta give those 2 guys their props here, and I gotta say they're both my megastars of the night. Kudos to them, and I hope to see more performances like that from them.
So I gave my jobber to the night to AJ Styles. Now you're going to think I got my jobber and my megastars confused, but I did not.
Okay.
So my megastars tonight, Destiny. Now,
oh, you kind of cut off there, Mick.
Oh, hold on. Wait 1 second. I'm back.
Take 2. Who are your megastars of the night?
My megastars of the night are the Gorillas of Destiny.
That's
now,
fair.
I'll tell you why. So, you have DIY, former NXT champions. You have the Street Profits, who are former Raw, SmackDown, and NXT tag team champions. You have the Gorillas of Destiny, who are the 7-time IWGP World Heavyweight Champions for New Japan. But ever since GOD has started teaming in WWE, their matches have been, for a lack of a better term, stinky poo from a butt. So
very memeable.
Yeah. So you put them into a match with these guys tonight. They not only held their own, but they looked like they belonged there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are they more? You could make the argument that they're more suited for car crash type matches that these are, and maybe they, when they're bound by the rules of the WWE, that they, maybe lack a certain skill set. Maybe, their moves aren't as crisp and everything. But in this environment, and it could be a case of the Street Profits and DIY are just so good they made the Gorillas of Destiny look good by proxy. But from what I saw in this match, they really went out there and they were like, we really want to dispel all of these we can't wrestle and we're not worthy of the tag team titles discourse that's been going on online. And I just really enjoyed this match. And when people think back about this match, they're going to go, oh man, DIY hit the Shatter Machine off the ladder, or oh, DIY hit the meat in the middle, or oh, Montez did the dive, and Dawkins did the dive, and oh, did you see that blockbuster? But down to the nitty gritty of it, like, the GOD did a great job of not taking that much damage in that match. They just kind of let the Street Profits and DIY fight it out. And, they came in with the ladders a couple of times and got their asses kicked. But then for the most part, they just ducked out of the ring and was like, yeah, we'll just wait.
Yeah, dude, absolutely. So, think about, too, the moments where it was both teams ganging up on these guys because it made them seem like they were actual threats in this match.
Yeah, I mean,
this was a star-making match for both those guys.
Yeah, DIY down by the numbers game by the bloodline. Right. So it was the Street Profits. So they got a little taste of their own medicine. Tama took that. Tanga took the spot through the table, which was incredible. You also got to give props to the guy taking that move because it's got to fucking suck. Right. And then they put Tama Tonga through the table, which was another callback. There was just a lot of great things in this match, but I feel like a lot of people are going to remember it because the Street Profits and DIY were in it, but the Gorillas of Destiny are my megastars because of that fact. You get what I'm saying? Like, yeah, people are going to go, oh, Street Profits and like 5 years from now. Oh yeah, I remember that Street Profits and DIY and who else was it? Oh, the team that won, Gorillas of Destiny, assholes.
Right, but no, like God needed this match, and I'm glad that they were able to show, why they belonged in this division. Because for the longest time, everyone looks at the current bloodline as just like, oh look, it's Jacob Fatu and the rest of them. It's
Yeah,
Jacob Fatu with the memeable ones.
and it kind of ends both feuds at the same time.
Yeah.
But DIY and Street Profits weren't pinned, and they did all of their cool spots, so they protected them that way. And God could win by doing the bare minimum, which the way it should have been. And everybody walks away looking like a megastar. But just like the Street Profits were yours, I'm going with Gorillas of Destiny, just for the simple fact that they made a lot. They made not a lot look like a lot.
Absolutely, and I think that, the statement can be made also, and because there's only two of us, I guarantee if we had some of our other friends here with us, DIY would have absolutely got one of the shout outs as well, because all 6 of these guys really just showed why they belonged in this main event. And I think all of them wanted to prove something, and they wanted to prove why they're going to be having the match, not just of the night, but the match of the week. So
this match really goes far as in terms of like, hey, we should be on the pay-per-view, so let me go out there and show you why we should have been on the pay-per-view, and then maybe the next time they will be on the pay-per-view.
Exactly. No, exactly. I agree with that completely, and I really hope to see more of this for the GOD, because even with this, like, there was none of like that silly crap. They just came out looking tough, and I appreciated that. And this is what they should have been this whole time. So I was glad, and I hope that this is just that almost that reset that they really needed.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, that was us. That was SmackDown. We got through it. Just the two of us. Nah. I'm looking over here. There's a lot of people on here with us. Chat, thank you for joining us. Yeah, like roughly around like 200 people here. This is awesome. So chat, thank you so much for joining us. If you enjoyed hanging out with us, guess what? There's some more of us. There's a lot of people, and you can be hanging out with us all the time. It's Dirt Sheet Radio. We're always on. Of course, earlier we had the flagship podcast. Mac and I are on this, as well as our boys John and Greg. So you can go check that out if you know the Dirt Sheet Radio name. But guess what? Like we said, Dirt Sheet Radio, we're always on. So hey, for every wrestling show during the week, you can catch us for Monday Night Raw's post-show rewind. You can also be seeing us for NXT. We will absolutely be updating that soon. I don't know who's going to do that, but hey, someone's going to make it all platinum. And then, of course, Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. You'll also be catching us Thursdays for TNA Impact. You're already here for Friday SmackDown. That is literally an S. We were talking about this. We were joking about it off here. That cannot be seen as anything else but SmackDown. Come on. Chat, do you agree with that? Let us know. But also, along the weekend, you'll be hanging out with CJ and Tyler. They're not going to be covering Level Up, probably. It's going to be a lot of other wrestling things. But we love these guys. And speaking of dudes that we love, 3NT, our boys. They're going to be, they're going to be talking anything and everything wrestling related. And these two guys right here, Nick and Mac, we will also be talking about WCW in the very near future. Mac, you want to start talking about that maybe next weekend?
So for people who are watching right now, roughly the 200 of you, Nick and I decided to do a little side project because, to break up the monotony, we have a good system going where we do Raw, SmackDown, NXT, TNA, Level Up, and all the pay-per-views and everything. But, I both grew up WCW kids. I could say that he maybe have been more of a WCW fan than WWF fan growing up. Me too. Yeah, I was a 605 baby on TNT on Saturday nights. Missed the big door with the smoke.
That was so iconic. I've always wondered who had the giant bicep that used to smash the WCW.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, dude. Wow.
Because I've always looked that up, and throughout the years, I've never been able to figure out who that was.
Maybe maybe that'll give me something to do tonight after I shower. So, but
there we go.
But Nick and I wanted to do a WCW pay-per-view where it wasn't quite end of WCW, but it wasn't quite the end of like the best of WCW. So we kind of came on to, well, Nick came on to WCW Spring Stampede 1990. Incredible show.
Ooh, Mac, you are in robot mode right now, buddy.
Better?
Oh, yeah.
Good. Okay. So Nick and I wanted to do that show because right at the tail end before WCW started to suck balls. So
yeah, and a lot of people call it, the last truly great WCW pay-per-view.
So get everybody up to speed of what you might be seeing next weekend. Nick and I probably maybe could do something on Friday before SmackDown and get it out. We're going to pre-tape it. So the matches that we'll be talking about will be Juventud Guerrera versus Blitzkrieg, number one contender to the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. After that, we get a hardcore match between Bam Bam Bigelow and Hack, who you also know as the Sandman from ECW. After that, we get a terrible match between Scotty Riggs and Mikey Whipwreck. After that, we get an even after that, we get a worse match between Conan and Garbage Person Disco Inferno. We get
a great match.
Match that had to slow down because there was an injury in the middle of it, but it was still great, which was Rey Mysterio versus Billy Kidman for the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. After that, we got a Ravens Rules match between Raven and Perry Saturn versus Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko, which was the match of the night for me.
It had no business being as good as it was. And when you see this on paper, Benoit Malenko versus Raven and Saturn, it's just like, yeah, these guys are going to be putting on the match of the night for a show like this. But no, they killed it. It was great.
It was great because Arn Anderson kept distracting the referee, but he didn't have to because it was Ravens Rules.
Yeah, exactly.
After that, we got the finals of the vacant WCW United States Heavyweight Championship tournament between Scott Steiner and Booker T. Okay.
It wasn't bad. I mean, Steiner and Booker T do have good chemistry together.
After that, we got the long-anticipated rematch a year and a half later between Goldberg and Kevin Nash. And in the main event, this should have been a triple threat match, and we'll discuss why, but it was a fatal four-way match between Diamond Dallas Page, Ric Flair, and Hollywood Hogan and Sting for Flair's WCW World Heavyweight Championship with the Macho Man, as a special guest referee,
Dig it.
But Nick and I will be covering that very soon. I've taken extensive notes, so it'll probably be maybe an hour and a half, just like the SmackDown podcast. So it's not going to be 4 hours or anything too that you can't, that you can't sit there and watch for a long time, but we'll try to keep it short. We'll try to keep it short, but thank Nick for suggesting that show, and I do too, because it was a great show, so thank you, Nick. But if you want to wrap up, Nick.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, you know what? My name is Nick LaRocco, and you'll be able to catch me on the social medias. If you see me posting around Dirt Sheet Radio, hey, feel free to give me a follow, and hey, feel free to also comment, message me, let me know. I love talking to you guys. Mac, where can they find the Curbside Hero?
You can find me at Curbside Hero on Instagram. My Facebook is mostly for friends and family, but if you want to send me a message on there and ask me a question about maybe Dirt Sheet Radio or about my Instagram, you can. I probably won't accept your friend request because, like I said, it's just friends and family and my Dirt Sheet Radio family. Twitter at Curbside Hero 531 and on Instagram at Curbside Hero. I have to approve people before they friend request, but if you look cool and you're not a dick, welcome.
There we go. Well, hey, chat again. Thank you guys so much for joining us. A lot of you started joining very late, so hey, when this is done, feel free to go and rewind this episode and watch it. We absolutely love it.
Watch me fuck up bad.
Oh man, but hey, we're gonna have I'm sure some of the boys are gonna be on as well tomorrow for covering Bad Blood. We're not gonna be singing it because it's gonna be so good that this is gonna be taken down and you'll not have audio to listen to this, but absolutely so we'll be seeing you tomorrow for Bad Blood chat, and hey, we love you, Thank you for joining us. You're great. You're awesome. And like we said, like this graphic's going to be saying, thank you.